On today's show, we have our backup, ladies and gentlemen. Brook Lopez is an LA Clipper. Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and going into my 21st season as a Clipper fan this fall, but I think we're still a little bit of ways away from that. So before we get started, you already know the drill. Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Been covering the Clippers for 5 years on my own personal YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, in 3 years right here on Locked On Clippers. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Head on over to FanDuel.com for all your betting needs. FanDuel.com to get started. Today is a special day where we can talk about a backup center. The LA Clippers have acquired former All-Star Brook Lopez and NBA champion Brook Lopez to a 2-year, $18 million deal. So I'm going to be talking about what my reaction is, what he brings, and what this means for the age of our team and Yannick. So my first reaction, I'm watching all the trades or all the moves on Twitter. It's free agency frenzy. You know what I'm saying? I got shams on post notifications, and all these moves are happening. Clint Capella's going to Houston. I mentioned him a bunch of times this summer about somebody that we can get as a backup for Zoo. Bobby Portis was taken off the market a couple days ago, re-signing with the Bucks. And so I'm just waiting. What are the Clippers going to do? Are we going to trade for a power forward? Are we going to go for Nickeil Alexander-Walker like so many fans want with the mid-level exception? Or are we going to go for that backup big? And lo and behold, we come out with the 2-year, $18 million for Brook Lopez. Now, I honestly love it. I love it because Brook Lopez, first off, just a personal thing for me, I was advocating for Brook Lopez being a top 5 center and one of the most underrated players in the league my freshman year of high school, 2013, when the Nets first moved to Brooklyn. That was his only All-Star appearance, but I was like telling people like Brook Lopez is nice. And nobody was like, everybody would just laugh at me like, Brook Lopez, like, what are you talking about, dude? It's like, Clipper and Laker fans don't want to hear about no Brook Lopez, especially if we're talking about the Nets. It's all about D. Will and ISO Joe, not no Brook Lopez. But Brook Lopez was kind of like that third guy, and he was so good then. He was really good the next year, and then he got injured. And then I don't think he was really ever the same after the 2014 injury that he got. I forget exactly what kind of injury that was. But, he still averaged 17 points a game on a playoff team in 2015. And then they sucked those last 2 years in Brooklyn. He averaged 21 points a game both years. And then he went to the Lakers for 1 year. So this is not his first time being in LA. He went for 1 year. And I remember thinking then, like, Brook Lopez is not very good anymore. He was averaging 13 points. Laker fans did not like him. He was their starting center who averaged 4 rebounds. And that's something I have to say he's never been great at. So if people want to know, is Brook Lopez going to be a great rebounder? No. But here's the main takeaway. When he went to Milwaukee, he kind of reinvented himself as this pick and pop big from 3. Now, he used to always be a great shooter from 18 feet, but he's one of the prime examples of guys adapting to the modern NBA who were already good shooters and just can extend the range a little bit. I think if you're already a good shooter, it's not a big deal to extend your range a little bit at all. Now, there are some people that say like the mid-range is a different shot than the 3. Correct, but we're talking about guys not shooting threes at all that can hit 18, 20-footers. Of course, they can extend their range. Brook Lopez, though, is definitely someone that we have to give a lot of credit for because not only did he extend his range, he's a guy who was hitting from way downtown and was able to average 37% from 3 in 2023, 36.5 the year they were the #1 seed in the East in 2019, his first year with the Bucks. Now that percentage dropped in 2020. He only shot 31% from 3 that year. The year they won the championship, he shot 34%, so not too great. But then 36, 37, 37, and 37. So essentially, he's shot 37% the last 3 years, with last year coming at 37.3 on 5 attempts. You know what this means? That he can be a pick and pop big. When was the last time we had that? Serge Ibaka. And he essentially, as a Clipper, never panned out because of his back. This is the best backup we've had since Hartenstein. No doubt about it. Brook Lopez may have not been good enough to be a starting center. Everyone's talking about he's old. He's going to get, he's so slow. He's a drop coverage merchant. Okay, so is Zoo to some degree. And he's an actual rim protector. This is a guy who, maybe not as much anymore, but he was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting 2 seasons ago. Second in the league behind Jaren Jackson Jr. and was all defensive first team in 2023. Now, yes, he fell off defensively in 2024. You know what I'm saying? We saw in the playoffs, he actually averaged 18 points on 59, 43 and a half splits. That's 59% from the field and 43.5% from three in that series against the Indiana Pacers in 2024. Now, I will not lie to the people. I was going through some stuff and moving and during the series this year against the Pacers, so I only watched game one. I'll go back and watch the other ones. But he did not have a very good game in that game. Miles Turner was killing him in the pick and pop. But again, based on their drop coverage scheme, pick and pop, you're conceding to Miles Turner. So that's more about the scheme. The point is this. While he might not be a starting center anymore, this is a guy who was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting just 2 years ago and averaged 2 blocks a game last season. So he still is a pretty good shot blocker. He's going to be coming off the bench. Do you know when the last time Brook Lopez was a bench player? Never. He started 75 games out of 82 his rookie year. He's never been a bench player in his entire career. So to say that he's not going to have anything to bring off the bench, I think is crazy. He's going to have some bad games. He's going to have some games where he looks old and slow, but he has a high basketball IQ. He has championship experience. He can knock down pick and pop threes with James Harden, whoever else our backup point guard is, or Bogey. He gives us a different element that we don't have with Zoo. Now, I don't think he's, just because he can pick and pop at threes, he's better than Zoo, or should be playing more than him, or should be closing games in crunch time, unless he's going crazy. I don't know if they can play together because it might be too slow, but you never know. Maybe we experiment. He can pick and pop, but it might just be too slow. But I'm really happy about this, guys. I think Clint Capella is not better than Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez was still starting on a playoff team last year. And you know what's great about Brook Lopez? Even though he had some injuries, in that stretch of his career, 2012 and 2014, last 10 years, he's been, I'll read you the games played since 2014-15. 72, 73, 75, 74, 81, 68 out of 72, 70 out of 72. 2022 is when he was injured. He had a big injury that year, 13 games, but he actually ended up playing in the playoffs and started all 12 games. And then 2023, 78, and then 79 and 80 the last couple of years. I mean, I think this is a home run. The only thing is $9 million a year. Yeah, how much money do we have left over at the mid-level exception? Probably like $5 or $6 million to give out. Nickeil Alexander-Walker went to the Hawks, so that's not going to happen. But I really think we needed a backup center more than point of attack defense and another guard. I really do. This is huge in my opinion. Just not like a huge thing for the league, but really good for our team. I'm excited. And yes, partially it's my bias because I loved Brook Lopez in Brooklyn, but that was a while ago. I didn't really care for him that much with the Bucks because he was a different player. He wasn't like throw it down in the post and get a bucket. But here's the thing. We have that option. If he's guarded by like someone that's ass or like so much smaller than him, no one's in the NBA's ass. I should never say that. But someone that's not good defensively and is a smaller guy, we can throw it down to him. He has that skill. I think this is just a very solid move for us. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear Brook Lopez's deep-ass voice talking to like La Murray and Joey Lynn and just giving us some great quotes too. He's a pretty funny guy. So coming up, we're going to talk about more about what Brook Lopez can bring to the table, but one concern I also have about his presence on the team. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high stakes soccer action like in the Club World Cup, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. You can already start betting on the 2026 NBA regular season MVP. Nikola Jokic is actually leading the odds with plus 220, SGA second, and Luka Doncic way behind in third. Victor Wembanyama is in sixth place. And as far as awards like who's going to the finals, the Oklahoma City Thunder obviously are favorite, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers second with all of the injuries out east. So if you're feeling lucky about the Cavs, maybe the Knicks, go ahead to go to FanDuel. Now, new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit fanduel.com to get started. All right. So the Clippers have signed Brook Lopez as their backup center, the backup to Ivica Zubac. Dude's got championship experience. He's 37 years old, however. Or let's see, he's 36. No, he's 37. Yeah, he turned 37 in April. He's an LA guy, North Hollywood. He's from. So he's an LA guy. Went to high school, though, in Fresno. I don't know how long he stayed in LA. I'd have to look into his history. And then, of course, he went to Stanford, and he's had a great NBA career. Only was an all-star one time, but man, I think he was very good with the Nets. Also got hurt by just not being on a very good team, but he might be remembered more as he shouldn't be remembered more as a Milwaukee Buck than a Net because I'm pretty sure he's the all-time leading scorer in the history of the Brooklyn Nets, of the Nets franchise. But of course, remember, I don't know if you combine the ABA years, I'm not sure if he would be, but that's a pretty amazing accomplishment to be the all-time leading scorer of any franchise in the NBA. There's only 30 of them. So Brook Lopez, the newest Clipper, what he brings is a guy that can block shots. You're going to mostly see him in drop coverage. This is not a big that's going to be able to switch out on the perimeter and stuff like that. But he's going to be able to block shots. He's a drop coverage expert. Again, second in Defensive Player of the Year voting just 2 years ago. And he's going to be coming off our bench. I mean, for other teams, you go from Zoo and Lopez. And here's the thing about Lopez. He didn't look as good this year. That's because the Milwaukee Bucks' best perimeter defender is like Torian Prince or Giannis when he switched out there, but they usually want to keep Giannis around the basket to rotate at the rim, or Kevin Porter. Like that team, and what's that rookie's name that was starting for them in the playoffs? I'm going to look it up because I'm completely blanking on it. His name was Ryan Rollins. Like these are the point of attack defenders they have. So of course it's going to make Brook Lopez look worse. We have Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., Kawhi, Nico, who, by the way, I talked about. I'm going to do an episode on Nico re-signing, but more important things first. Brook Lopez signed with the Clippers. That's the latest news. So you will be getting the Nico episode on Tuesday as well. But yeah, so far, so good. You got James Harden back. We're going to be talking about Nico, but Brook Lopez, I think he's going to look even better with the Clippers' point of attack defense around him. Now you're not going to have situations where he's guarding two guys at once as many times. He's going to be able to split that difference better because we got Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. fighting over those screens like their life depends on it. So he brings that defensively. Another guy that's competent at the rim. We didn't have that last year. Drew Eubanks didn't play in the playoffs. We didn't even have a backup center in 2 of the last 3 Clippers seasons, and we were rotating between Mason Plumlee and Daniel Tice in 2024. Look at this. Zubac is one of the best centers, top 5 in the league. Brook Lopez is one of the top 5 centers of the last 10 years. In my opinion, you could argue definitely top 10. Of the last 10 years, he probably is top 5. But I'd have to sit down and talk about it. Brook Lopez with James Harden, the pick and pop. I mean, it gives James Harden 2 guys that he can play off of as bigs. I think it's going to be great. If he stays healthy, he and Zoo, I mean, how many teams have a better center rotation than that? I like Miami with Bam Adebayo and Kello Ware. I think Cleveland with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, kind of because they can stagger them. But true centers, we have a guy that has started his entire career. Now, this will be year 17 for Brook. Year 18 for Brook. He has been around. He's had a hell of a career, as I've said, but being a backup, I mean, having that pick and pop threat, we tried it with Mo Bamba, but he's like not like that. It's gonna be nice. Best backup we've had since Isaiah Hartenstein. First true pick and pop big we've had off the bench since, like, I guess you can say Boogie in 2021. I'll say Boogie. I'm excited. Now, here's my concern though. My concern is that Brook Lopez is solid and he'll be hot some nights from three. That Ty Lue is going to like lean into playing him more and taking away minutes from Zoo. And there's less Ivica Zubac can no longer be the answer. Can no longer be a thing, in my opinion. Like, unless teams are blatantly playing him off the floor, but teams that would be playing Zoo off the floor are going to be able to play Brook Lopez off the floor too. There is no reason why Brook Lopez should be cutting into Zoo's minutes. And last year, by the way, he averaged 32 minutes a game, Brook Lopez. So he should be around 18, 19. Actually, no, because if you're going to stagger them, he should only be getting like 15, 16 minutes, honestly. Let's take a look at how many minutes Zoo averaged last year. I think it was, 31? Let's see. Zoo averaged 33 minutes last year. So 33 minutes. He only averaged 2 more minutes than Brook Lopez. Well, no, 33 and 32. So for me, Zoo should average, he's probably not going to average more minutes, honestly, because we have a backup for him now. But 32 or 33 minutes a game. So if we're going to stagger and we're never going to play them together, Brook Lopez should not be getting more than 14 or 15 minutes a game. And again, if you give him that and you're telling me he can't be a net positive, come on. But I just really hope Ty Lue, because Ty Lue loves his spacing. Ty Lue loves his shooting. 5 out. Now you have that option, which is great to have that option, especially, with Chris Dunn, right? Like, Chris Dunn now becomes in a lineup with Lopez. Now Chris Dunn or Derrick Jones Jr. become our worst shooters. Because Brook Lopez, not just from three, but from the mid-range, his floater, he just got better touch than Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn. So that will really help Chris Dunn play more, I think, in big moments. But I don't want, Brook Lopez playing in big moments over Zoo. Like, Zoo is still the guy. He's so much better in the post. He's much younger, livelier, quicker to react to basically everything, whether it be rebounding. Rebounding is not even close who's better between Zoo and Brook Lopez. Zoo just has better instincts. He's more physical. Lopez in his prime, I would probably take as a scorer over Zoo because his jumper, and he still had post game. But he was mainly turned over the left shoulder. But he got a jumper though, Brook Lopez. But Zoo, I think he's just more physical. Like, he gets deeper post position. He's bigger a little bit, it feels. I don't know. Brook Lopez is 7'1", but Zoo, I don't know. He's stronger. I just think this is going to be fun. Like, not in the sense of like highlight plays, obviously, like Ivica Zubac and Brook Lopez, but it's good. I think it's good stuff. I just really hope that Ty Lue doesn't get too enamored with the 5 out, and then Zoo is sitting down in second halves a lot. Like, that would piss me off because, again, Ivica Zubac's long-term development is the best thing we've got going for us right now, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm excited about Brook Lopez. But coming up, I'm going to talk about what this does to the age of our team and what it means for Yannick Conan Niederhauser. All right, so talking about the LA Clippers, bringing in Brook Lopez. He's 37. We're old. We're really old. But the thing was, who are we going to get as a backup center? Day'Ron Sharpe, he re-signed with the Nets. And is Day'Ron Sharpe really better in a playoff setting than Brook Lopez as a backup? He's never even played in the playoffs. I would much rather have Brook Lopez off the bench, personally. And I also haven't watched Day'Ron Sharpe like that compared to Brook Lopez because, I'm not going to lie and say that I've watched Nets games a lot since they traded Kevin Durant away. This is the thing about the age, right? We are old. If you are thinking, how are we going to beat OKC like this? Newsflash, we're probably not going to be able to beat OKC like this. We're too old. Whether we sign Brook Lopez or not doesn't move the needle against a team like that. But does it make the Clippers better than last year? Is it a better option than we had last year? Unequivocally, yes. So when the front office is trying to stay competitive right now, they're not. I don't think they care about age. They're just going with who's going to make us better. Yes, we get slower, but I guess we're doubling down on it. And then there's rumors now that we might bring Chris back. I already did an episode on that a couple weeks ago, but I might have to do another one. By the time I do it, maybe because I still got the Nico episode. I got the Ty Lue telling comments episode. So I got stuff planned this week. And then Summer League starts pretty soon as we enter the month of July. But we're doubling down on old. For the people that want us to go younger and like is going younger better for this iteration of the team? Because the people that want us to go younger, say someone like myself, going younger means being okay with losing games to develop young players, to see if these guys are actual NBA players, because none of them are standouts that can get into the rotation now. So to give them a chance like people want, you kind of have to go away from Kawhi and Harden, which is it's not what makes sense for what the Clippers organization wants to do. They want to stay competitive right now and be a contender. Now, again, I talked to Joey about it. Do they really think they're a contender? Probably not. This team is old. This team is too old in this era to win a championship, but Brook Lopez can help us. And let's say, what happens if SGA gets hurt or something next year? We're seeing injuries more than ever before. Tatum got hurt. What if SGA gets hurt? Is the West not wide open? Denver's made some moves in the last 24 hours. Michael Porter Jr. gone, Cam Johnson coming in, Bruce Brown going back. Pretty good moves. Are they unbeatable, though, for us, who was 7 games? Kawhi didn't play the majority of the season. I don't know. I think we might be able to beat them. We might. But Denver is getting better. Those are good moves for them. But who else? Are we afraid of the Lakers? Are we afraid of the Golden State Warriors? Minnesota's pretty good. But they're losing down to Kayla Alexander-Walker. Because they brought back Naz Reid. They brought back Randall. This whole second apron and the aprons, all that, the new CBA makes it tough to retain these guys. So all I'm saying is you never know what can happen. What I'm saying is just you got to just try to make your team better. If that's the goal, is to keep this team together, which it is. The age doesn't really matter. You just got to go with who's going to help you be better, and I think Brook Lopez does help us get better. Now, here's the thing. For those that wanted Giannis to be the backup center, and I said maybe he could be the backup center, but then we read between the lines and said, Lawrence Frank said, in due time he will be this. In due time he will be that. That's not someone who's ready to be a backup, and they trust to be a backup on a team with championship aspirations this year. So for anybody that wanted Giannis, unfortunately, this means, like we thought, he's not going to be that guy. They're going to go for a vet. They're going to go for a vet because they're a win-now team. And I know that frustrates some fans because they're like, dude, if we're always going to be a win-now team and not win, like these young players are just going to keep going by the ocean side and playing with the Clippers over there, the G League Clippers, and we're never going to use them. I know. It sucks. And that goes down to Ballmer. He said, we're never going to tank, per se. And right now, the only teams that Giannis would be playing for are probably tanking or rebuilding teams, and we're not there. We're not doing that. So that's unfortunate for Giannis. But look, on the bright side, he gets to learn from a really good center right now, and one of the centers that's made a 19-year career out of himself in Brook Lopez. By the way, it's a 2-year deal, so I think this will be his last deal of his career. He'll retire a Clipper and play 19 seasons of NBA basketball. That would be pretty crazy. So yeah, he's going to probably average single-digit points this season. All I'm asking for is give me like 8 and 4 and some good defense in those minutes. We'll take that all day long. And also, it's someone that we can sometimes dump it down to, as I said. I'm really happy about this. I know it makes us older, which sucks. But again, our direction right now is all in for right now. It's not building for anything in the future. Outside of maybe Zoo, who's good enough to play minutes on a win-now team. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Giannis, but I don't think he even thought he was going to get in the rotation this year like that. But here's the thing. Any missed games, Brook Lopez or Zoo, here comes Giannis off the bench, I would think. But knowing Ty Lue, small ball. Nico Batum with the 5. But I think it would be a good opportunity for Giannis. Although Zubac and Brook Lopez, they've had good history. Both of them have good health history in recent years. So should be good. It's just going to be really cool. I was in awe when I saw Rondo, Boogie, John Wall, and Russell Westbrook as a Clipper. Same with James Harden, Kawhi, and Paul George. But since those guys were older, non-star version of themselves, I was like, this is crazy, but I'm excited about it. Obviously, John Wall didn't work out well. Boogie wasn't great, but he had some decent moments that second half of the season. And that was pretty cool to see him as a Clipper. I know game 2 of the Suns series and game 6 of that series in the conference finals kind of hurt, just thinking about how he did. But I liked him. And then Rondo obviously didn't pan out in the playoffs. Well, actually, no, he had some good games in the Dallas series, the first 4 games. He had some good moments, but after that, no. So it hadn't really worked out. So hopefully Brook Lopez doesn't really fall into those guys' trajectory. And then Westbrook, he had his good moments until he had Harden, then he became But it'll be surreal to see Brook Lopez in a Clipper jersey, just for me, because like I was a fan of his and I was having arguments advocating for him at school like over 10 years ago. So that's going to be cool. Brook Lopez, your newest Clipper. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what we do with the rest of the money. I think the most logical thing now is to trade for a power forward. Everyone's talking about this secondary ball handlers stuff around Harden, but I think Bogey should be that guy. And Chris Dunn can still handle it a little bit. But I think the key in the offense starting lineup is to just lean more to Kawhi and Zoo post-ups and isolation. Like, I know we already play stagnant with that pick and roll with Harden, so we might as well just like still play stagnant, but with Kawhi and Zoo. If we're going to go to Kawhi in the playoffs, we got to play through Kawhi more. It's simple. So, and Kawhi, it's not like he's incapable of running pick and rolls. We just might not have one of the best offenses in the league, but I think this will help us, truly. Especially with Kawhi, like someone who's not great at hitting the roller and like making great reads in pick and roll. Now it's hard to guard in pick and roll with Kawhi because if you're in drop coverage, well, you got Lopez pick and popping. That would be a great thing to have Kawhi in that second unit with Harden out the game with Lopez as his big man. So then he can run a little 2-man game and now Kawhi can get assists more. There you go. I mean, there's some really good stuff here, Clipper Nation. I'm not trying to get anybody too excited because it's old Brook Lopez, but I think this is good, much better than Clint Capella, who's not making layups these days. And Drew Eubanks. This guy's literally never come off the bench in his entire career, Brook Lopez. Like, besides the first 7 games of his NBA career. He's been a starter for 17 years. I mean, that's great. And as I said, 2 years ago, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. So coming up next episode, we're going to be talking about Nico Batum and, of course, Kobe Sanders. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. And I'll be talking more about that Bucks-Pacers series. So if you want to tune in and hear what I might going to say about Brook Lopez, I'll go to Dime Dropper in a couple of weeks. But you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. And, of course, right here, Locked On Clippers. Let's get up to 8,000 subscribers by the end of Summer League. That's the goal. 8,000 before the end of Summer League. Can we do it? It's in your hands. Hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video. And, of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. And always, you can always remember you can listen on podcasts. That should not be forgotten. The age-old proverb continues. Go Brook Lopez. And, of course, go Clippers.